Hello everyone, to FNF Dustin Ranked. Today I am ranking the entire OST of FNF Dustin, an Undertale mod that came out, well, sorta recently, and quickly gained a lot of popularity, and I see why. This entire OST is really, really good. There's like no bad songs. I have one C tier. That is the lowest of this soundtrack for me. Not to mention it has some amazing art, some pretty unique storytelling, and is just generally a super high quality mod. I will be ranking all of these songs from worst to best based on my personal opinions of, well, every single song. Duh. And no, I will not be ranking the stream build versions of these songs, given how, well, as I was writing the script for this video, new stuff kept popping up while writing it, and it just became a headache, and I did not have the energy to keep up with it. I'm sorry. But I will mention my thoughts on them. Spoiler alert, pretty much all of the stream build versions of these songs are bad. But anyway, without any further delay, let's jump right into the ranking. YOLO! Yeah, this song has pretty much been consistently my least favorite song from the mod. I used to not like it at all, and it's grown on me a lot. Yet it still ended up being my least favorite of the mod. I'll start by admitting that I really do not like BF in this song. His voice is pretty clicky and irritating, his long notes sound super awkwardly delivered. Sans actually sounds solid enough through the first half, so that's nice. The song has some catchy melodies here and there, and the instrumental is pretty nice. I like how the instrumental uses the bass FNF menu sounds and its more chill atmosphere. That's cool. But in the second half, the instrumental has all these laser sound effects that are extremely annoying to listen to. Well, sorta. They're actually pretty drowned out by the vocal performance, which, for once the vocals drowning out a part of the instrumental is actually a good thing. You don't sound like that every day. The vocals themselves, well, I mean, I don't know. BF is still not fun to listen to in the second half, and as for Sans, they add this weird reverb to his voice to make it deeper, and the chromatic just ends up sounding weaker as a result. It's not bad enough to ruin the second half, it's just not better than the first half. There are still some good melodies, but then the second half ends with, like, a weird instrumental pause that plays Megalovania for some reason. Yeah, okay, I'm really not the biggest fan of this song. Despite all of my little issues, I do admit the song is catchy, and my issues aren't major, but they are enough, and I feel like out of all the songs from this OST, this one is the only one where I just don't really feel like listening to it as much as everything else. It's still okay, but it's just, I mean, this is the Dustin OST. You gotta be a lot more than okay to really stand a chance against some of the beasts of these songs. Before I talk about the next few songs, I want to remind everyone that the list is B tier and above, which means that the next few songs are songs I like, but I did like them less than the rest of the OST. So you guys are going to see some popular songs rank lower, and that's not because I think they're bad, but because I feel less passion towards them than I felt for a lot of the other songs. Okay? And before you guys bombard me with hate messages, at least be reasonable and hear out why I didn't care for these next few songs as much as like everyone else did. Okay?
Reality is often disappointing.
Broken Reality. The biggest song in the mod, and to me, another one I felt a little underwhelmed by. I must emphasize, I do not think that this song is bad. I just don't like it as much as some of the others. Let's go into each part one at a time. The intro is pretty neat. I like how it sets up the song. And hey, some Sans dialogue. The voice acting in this mod is generally really good. Sans and Papyrus's voice actors just do an amazing job. Now the actual vocal performance once they start to sing. it's okay. Sans is a decent chromatic in this song. I think he's better utilized in other songs from the main story, but I guess he still sounds pretty good. Maybe it's just the higher pitched notes in this song in particular that I'm not as big on, but I don't know. His vocal performance is fine, but not really stand out for me personally. And BF is the same way. He still sounds fine, but not as good as I've heard him in some of the other songs from this mod. Where I struggle with this opener is the melodies, because nothing in this first half really stands out to me, except when Sans sings Country Roads, which I admit I really like that part due to how random yet really funny it is, and it just blends well with the rest of this part of the song. It's so out of nowhere, and I didn't even notice it for a couple of times when listening to it, but once I noticed it, it just became the real highlight of this part of the phase, which, I mean, yeah, that's a good thing that it has a highlight. But that's about it. The rest of the melodies feel kind of on the generic side. I just don't engage with them as much as some of the other songs' melodies. I don't find them as catchy or fun, which, that's kind of a shame. But hey, the instrumental sounds kind of nice. That's all I can really say for it. It's very Final Boss themed without a lot of Undertale personality to it, which is a bit of a shame, and I feel like they could have had a better balance for Broken Reality's instrumental. But it's still well made, and it definitely fits the Final Boss context that the song has. Then Papyrus takes center stage, and this is where the song goes from alright to actually really good. The little xylophone instrument, trombone, and especially the bone trouser reference in the instrumental just give it so much needed personality, rather than the generic Final Boss style the rest of the song's instrumental has. Papyrus also sounds really good as well. His chromatic is one of my favorites from Dustin. Not in my top 3, but I mean, still a really good chromatic. And the melodies, while not being super engaging, are still really solid and a lot better than the stuff from Sans and BF's part. I especially like that little laughing bit where it plays into the rest of his phase where his voice is all swinging around the song, especially if you have headphones on. It's such a satisfying thing to do here. And the only part of Papyrus' section I don't like is that they have this part where his voice gets all glitchy for some reason. I don't like how that sounds. It's really awkward and just, it doesn't really add anything. So, that's kind of a stinker. Anyways, more Sans and BF stuff afterwards, and, yeah, it's just kind of more of the same, except for that one. Which is really satisfying. It's such a good melody, and it's another highlight part, kind of like the Country Roads reference in the first phase, except much more here, because I don't know, that melody just sticks out to me so much, and I kind of wish there was more parts of Broken Reality that sounded like that. Now, a quick funny detour that involves the next part of Broken Reality. When I was going through the mod blind and got to the opening cutscene of this song, I just said to myself, I wonder if BF is going to have a sad moment, and then GF shows up to cheer him on or something. Look what happened. I don't say this to be like, oh, look how smart I am, because I'm really not that smart. I point it out because it's predictable. But still, the music itself during this phase is fine. GF's chromatic is okay, and there's not really an emotional hook for me personally. The instrumental just kind of dies down here, and it just kind of feels a bit empty. But still, I guess melody-wise, it's okay. And then there's the ending of the song, which is more BF and Sans stuff, which is actually the weakest part of the song for me. It ends on its weakest notes, which is definitely a shame. It would have been a lot more cool if GF and Papyrus actually sang alongside their partner, like, fully, and, like, it was a duo facing another duo. That would have been really cool, but they don't do that. They just make it more of the same Final Boss stuff that the rest of the song had. I don't know, for the big showstopper of Dustin, I feel like this one doesn't have enough risk involved in it. Every other song in the story mode had something. Kind Mortal went out of its way to balance two different tones. The fun energy of Papyrus and the shock factor of Sans doing the unthinkable. Cornered introduced Undyne's chromatic and followed her personality via the music. And introduced Phantom Papyrus. Heatwave took the challenge of capturing the theme and style of the Hotlands and core, and introduced Mettaton's Neo chromatic, which, by the way, Mettaton Neo was never in Dust Tales' script to begin with. So this was a unique choice the mod took on its own, which is really cool. Evulsion, once again, changed the musical tone to something more mysterious and arguably took the biggest risk with adding a lyric section. And the Uprising in UR... Okay, I mean, the Uprising's big risk was, never mind, it didn't really take risks. UR's big risk was introducing Player and doing its best to sound like a true finale song, which isn't much, but, I mean, it's something. But this one just feels like the most basic way to go about a boss battle song for Dustin. And sometimes simple is good, look at Perseverance. But that one worked in its simplicity because it was the first song of the mod. Of course it would be simple, but this song is just supposed to be the climax of the mod, and I don't feel like it really did enough for me. From a quality standpoint, it's a good song, if a little inconsistent. But like, I just think that the other songs were better.
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I'm mad too, I lied.
The Uprising. This song I feel the most conflicted on from the mod. However, I'll go ahead and start with some praises. For one, I think Tankman sounds amazing. He's executed perfectly and carries the song for most of its runtime. Like you all know how much I love Enormity. I would say Tankman is used on the same level of quality as Enormity used him, if only slightly worse. Take that as a massive compliment, because it is. And the instrumental is a banger. A bit on the basic side, and tonally not super distinct, but an impressive instrumental that I do like. I think the melodies are also really good. Kind of. Okay, I think the main melody of the song is really good, and a few of the back and forths are alright. Sadly, this song just overuses its main melody way too much, which ends up making it a lot less impactful than it should be later on in the song when the climax comes around. And not to mention, most of the other melodies end up sounding kind of samey across the song and a bit repetitive. And then we get into the bigger issues of the song, like Pico, who is not well used. He enters the song awkwardly and out of nowhere, feeling not only very anticlimactic, but also very undeserved. Yeah, he's the major antagonist of the mod, technically, so of course he should show up in a song, but this feels less like a grand entrance and more like, shoot, Pico should be in the mod somewhere, quick, throw him into the Uprising. I mean, he only sings a total of 3 times. I'm serious, he has a total of 3 singing sections. Pico's first turn is the awkward and abrupt entrance where he disrupts the flow of the song. Yay. His second, this one's really good. He plays off of Tankman really well, and it's a great back and forth that plays off of an earlier melody from the song. I like this turn. This is a good way to use Pico. And on his third turn, he sounds really sloppy and once again disrupts the pacing of the song before BF's final pop-off. Not only does his inclusion feel so rushed, but if Pico was completely removed from the song, I really doubt anything would have seriously changed. Which really hurts because the idea of Pico showing up in the bad ending of the story is a great idea. It's actually a perfect idea. I just think the execution is kind of off. Oh wait, that's right, this is the bad ending of Dustin. But is it really? The song's tone feels so hopeful and uplifting. For the bad ending of the mod, it certainly doesn't convey that. At least UR made the attempt to have clever parallels to the pacifist ending, and the Uprising just straight up doesn't. Which, I mean, it didn't have to, but the fact UR does makes this one feel a little more odd. And then there are 2 more issues. BF. I think this is his weakest performance of the mod, except Yellow, but that's a different BF. His voice keeps switching from the normal chromatic and the more atonal style chromatic from, like, Vindication, but the quick switching sounds really weird due to how different they are, and they're switching mid-turn, which is so awkward. And then there's Player, who briefly sings on the song, but you'd barely even notice it given how quiet Player is. Also, genuine question, GF is in the thumbnail of the song, but isn't used in the actual song, not even showing up in the background. Why? Why is Tankman treated as a bigger character than Pico? Why does BF's voice sound so squeaky and inconsistent? Why is the song so hopeful and uplifting for a bad ending? Why is Pico barely utilized? Why is player barely audible? Why is this the one song in the mod that's so conflicting for me? I do like it, I do enjoy listening to it, but I just have so many questions about its structure and it just hurts. If you love it, fair enough, I encourage you to explain why you do, because I can see the appeal to this song. But I just can't find myself loving it with just how much it confuses me at times and just how many missed opportunities there were, how many weird choices there were for the structure, how many poorly utilized elements of the song there are. It's just, there's too many negatives for me to really rank this one over some of the others. You are. This one's not bad, but I feel a bit conflicted towards it. Before I get into my issues, I will give the song its praises. The song has some incredible melodies. I love the use of Undertale motifs across the song, and it is performed super well. The instrumental is really solid, especially during Sans and Papyrus' sections, and the pacing of the song is really strong, outside of one particular part, but we'll talk about that last. It truly does feel like the good ending theme for the mod, which is amazing as well, and there is some gorgeous artwork. Artwork doesn't affect the ranking, but I felt like it needed to be mentioned because, oh my gosh, look at this. This is beautiful. Sadly, where the song falls down for me is Player. I just don't like Player's chromatic. It's the weakest chromatic of the mod for me. Because Player's chromatic sounds just like BF, except a bit deeper, it just barely counts as a separate chromatic. And it makes all these melodies with BF and Player sing, the duets between them are too mixed and messy across the song, and a lot of the great melodies get kind of lost in translation, and it just makes the song harder to follow, especially since these two are duetting for most of the song, which only makes it weaker. Then Papyrus joins in, and you know what, yeah, this section actually brings up the song for me. The melodies and instrumental are really good. And since BF doesn't sing here, it doesn't lead to any messy duets. Player sounds okay here, I guess. And Papyrus sounds alright. He's a little higher pitched than usual, but it's not bad. Now, while I do like what it has musically speaking, story-wise it feels really strange. Mainly because it feels kind of pointless. Like, what's actually the point of the Papyrus section here? I get it's probably paralleling the pacifist ending, which is clever, but the problem with doing that is that it's only Papyrus. If Mettaton and Undyne showed up, that would make sense, as it would be even more parallel to the original Undertale's pacifist ending, but since it's just Papyrus with no sign of the others, it feels kind of thrown in for the sake of having a Papyrus section, and that's it. Especially since Undyne and Mettaton's deaths are far more impactful in the context of the story, since Papyrus is more shock value from Sans' actions rather than actual hopelessness of the other two. If they wanted the emotional impact, I think Undyne and Mettaton would have been better candidates. Especially since Papyrus already had an emotional climax in Avulsion. So no matter what way I look at it, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But at least there was the attempt, which is still good. Anyways, then more of the messy duets between Player and BF, which is still good, and I do like the visuals here a lot. Again, visuals don't affect the ranking, but I just want to mention it because, man, you can tell they put their soul into some of this art, which is great. And there are still really good motifs here, which I like a lot. It's a lot less messy than the beginning of the song, but it's still not great, given that most of it is still duets. And then song ends off with the single bests part of the song, and also another part that conflicts. First of all, the cutscene is the most infuriating part of the song. You're gonna tell me that of all the songs in the mod, this was the only one where Sans doesn't have actual audible dialogue, despite it probably being the most important piece for him to have dialogue in? Yeah, it's on screen visually, but not having it audible is really frustrating. And it just makes the instrumental bit drag. And another big issue, this whole section between Sans and Player is only about 30 seconds long, making that whole build-up feel very under-delivered. However, the actual singing part between Sans and Player sounds amazing. It's a great finale to the story of Dustin. It feels like Sans channeling all the hate and pain he's experienced throughout his efforts and directing it right towards Player. The quick back and forths are really good, and musically, it's my favorite part of the song. But man, it's just criminally short. I do like the song enough, but I do just wish it was better. Player's chromatic is pretty much the big issue, and if that was substituted for a better chromatic, this song would have ranked so much higher. You are extended mix. I have a personal issue with this one. They call it extended. The song is literally 14 seconds longer. That feels misleading, honestly. And what makes it 14 seconds longer? Well, Player has this final pop-off after Sansa's section where you can hear all different chromatics from the base FNF, like Daddy Dearest and Mommy Nearest, and Biko and Senpai and Tankman. And, okay, in concept that's not a bad idea, given what they were doing with Player's voice, but given that I didn't like Player's voice very much to begin with, yeah, I'm not really a big fan of this ending. It just sounds really awkward and doesn't add much, and it just kind of ends UR on a pretty bad note. And I mean, the song ended on a really good note originally, so this just doesn't do it for me. The only other noticeable change is that during the waterfall segment, the instrumental changes up completely, which in my opinion kind of disrupts the pace of the original part of that song and just makes it more awkward. So yeah, the changes to UR aren't great. They just kind of make the song weaker, and I'm not really that big a fan of it. Psychopath. Out of every song in this OST, this is the song I constantly used to forget about. It's not even a bad song by any means, it's actually pretty good. I just don't find myself thinking about it too much. The instrumental is decent, although I do feel a little bit of disappointment with it. More in the case that I just wish the vocals sang more of the melodies from the instrumental, since there's this like really satisfying part with a piano that sounds really nice. It's like a spiral section that I love, but the vocals kind of bury it, and that's a bit of a shame. There are a few other moments where the vocals drown out the cool stuff in the instrumental, which is sad. But on its own, the instrumental is really good. The intro, it's alright, nothing all that special, but I mean, it's still good. The dialogue bit from Kara is pretty cool, and GF's chromatic is pretty good. I mean, I've heard other GF chromatics that I like more, and this one makes her sound a bit like a kid, which maybe that was the intended direction behind her voice, which I could sort of see being the case. It's not like a top 10 GF chromatic for me, but it's still a decent chromatic for the song's sake. Mostly. It's cute, so, it gets a pass. And Killer Sans has, one of the weaker chromatics from the mod. It's pretty muffled and doesn't blend well with some of the other elements of the song. It's not bad at all, but it's weaker than some of other Sans chromatics from this one. Especially since there's another Sans chromatic that's similar to this one, but just better. The melodies are actually pretty catchy, and the first half has some good tension, which sounds really nice. And I like the back and forths between the two. And then there's a transition to the second half, which I think is a Megalo Strike Back reference, which is actually really cool, I'm not gonna lie. Then we get to the second half, and I feel pretty torn on it. The instrumental is still really good. It has a lot more impact, and more of the melodies sung by the characters are actually followed through with the instrumental, leading to more synchronization, which is really good, and the melodies are solid. My problem is that it just kind of feels a bit generic in tone. The first half was a lot more unique in its tone, and Sans sounded a little better in that phase. Actually, I think everything sounded a little bit better when it came to the chromatics. GF's chromatic just doesn't have the range and power to make the second half hit as hard as it should have. And Killer sounds even more muffled than the first half. And then there's a Kara moment in this second half, but I genuinely don't care for it because it's super forgettable, and the chromatic used on Kara is really mediocre, and it's just a very nothing segment. I actually just keep forgetting it's even in the song to begin with, and every time I hear it, I'm just surprised. It's like, oh right, that was a part of this song. There's not much in this second half that gives me some of the enjoyment that some of the other songs do give me, but like, when it comes down to it, I still enjoy the song more than the others, mainly since that first half is really good and the second half's instrumental rocks. It's a great instrumental, and I like the synchronization. And I don't know, I mean, melody-wise, it's still strong. I just think that Kara could have been more interesting in the song, and the vocals needed a bit more work to make this second half hit even harder. But for what it is, I still think it's pretty solid.
To bargain. Yeah.
Bargain. I kind of like this song, even if for the longest time I thought this was on the same level as YOLO. But kind of like YOLO, this one grew on me. But unlike YOLO, which did not grow on me nearly enough to be, well, solid, this one grew on me enough to be really good. Okay, not really good, but still good. You get my point. I'll start with my issues this time. Firstly, the intro is bad. It's just loud and obnoxious and doesn't fit the rest of the song, and it's just irritating, and I don't like it. Like, what is even the point of this joke intro if the rest of the song is just going to be very normal? Doesn't make sense to me. And the rest of it's pretty alright. Sans is a bit choppy in a few parts, and Chris is kind of generic, but otherwise sounds good. So what do I like about this song? The instrumental is really good. I like it a lot. It's fun, energetic, and full of personality, especially during that little slow part that leads into that final bit. Oh, I love it. And I'll admit, despite not loving the chromatics, the melodies themselves are very, very catchy. It's got some memorable and energetic parts. The whole song is fun to listen to, and I love that little trombone and beatboxing bit near the end. It's so charming and is a ton of fun. It's a decent song, there's not a lot to it, and it does have its issues, but I don't know, I still get consistent enjoyment out of it, especially with the ending.
Battle ended 500 years ago.
Well, now I'm ready for a rematch.
Took you long enough.
Vindication! What a way to end the mod right here. I like Sans' chromatic in this song, and I think the instrumental, while a bit on the basic side, is really solid. And I absolutely love the moment where the visuals flash back to the original Dusttail mod. Not only is that really cool, and not only is it like musically the hardest hitting part of the song where I wish there was even more parts like that, it also perfectly conveys what you're dealing with. The original timeline version of Sans from the old Dusttail mod is back, and he is more messed up than ever. The moment just has so much energy and impact and truly feels like the moment in a movie with a dramatic plot twist. It is conveyed so well, and it just hits you like a truck every time the moment you realize what you're dealing with here. And it's just, oh, it gives me chills. It is genuinely a perfect moment for this song. I love it. The melodies are also pretty catchy and memorable too. I like them. BF plays off this song pretty well. Yeah, I know the specific BF chromatic isn't a favorite of mine based on what I said about the Uprising, since it's kind of similar to that one. However, unlike in that song where it sounded choppy and unpolished and was just used during the mid parts of the turn and it sounded really awkward and under-delivered, here it sounds more intentional and thought out. It's not perfect. I mean, during the slow moments it does sound a little bit on the awkward side, but I still love it regardless. Now, the thing that holds this song back for me is Thero. I don't really care for the sound of his chromatic very much. It doesn't blend well with a lot of the other elements of the song. It's kind of glitchy and muffled and just not a great combination of things for a chromatic to have. And just really, after that amazing flashback moment, the song does lose a lot of its momentum and goes from absolutely great to solid. And it's not a bad drop, but admittedly I feel like the energy that the song had in its beginning turns is kind of lost after that. And Thero is like the final nail in the coffin that prevented this song from getting higher on my list. I don't even really get what the meaning of Thero is in this song. I guess he kind of represents the timelines Dust Sands killed off. Yes, that's his actual name. But the song really doesn't convey that the same way that they conveyed who this version of Sands is earlier in the song. He just kind of shows up and doesn't contribute that much. He sings plenty, sure, but like I've already said, I don't really care for the way he sounds. So, if anything, he's kind of taking away from how much I liked the song initially. That being said, I still think the song is really catchy and it has a lot of impact and energy, and I do really enjoy it. It's a great final song for the mod. Mostly. It could have used a little more impact, especially given that this is arguably the most threatening version of Sans from the mod. So he should have maybe had a little bit more power, but still, I do really like Vindication, and I do respect it quite a bit for what it does, and it does have a perfect moment, so, you know, credit where credit is due. Vindication's great, but it did get beat out by a lot of its competition.
Remember, son, dying is gay.
Something I love in songs that I listen to is consistency. So when a song is very inconsistent, I'm probably going to end up being drawn towards other songs that are just more consistent. It's as simple as that. So when I'm given a song that has some of the most amazing moments in the soundtrack, like a perfect second half, but also a kind of underwhelming and frankly mediocre first half, what am I left with? Well, I'm left with Avulsion. I do like the dramatic start of the instrumental, that's kind of nice, and the nice little True Lab melody is a very smart Easter egg. But the vocals themselves, I just don't care for. Sans hits a lot of high notes, and kind of like in Broken Reality, I don't love the high notes from Sans as much as I like his deep notes. And the melodies just sound very weird to me. It just sounds awkward. And it also feels like Boyfriend and Sans are trying to sing as fast as possible, but the instrumental isn't going super fast, so it just sounds really weird to me, and I don't hate it, but I just don't find myself engaged with that much in this first half. It's okay, but like, it's one of Dustin's weaker segments in its soundtrack. But then there's this little stop. There's a slow somber bit with Sans, which is a little odd to me. Not sure why the tone is here. Maybe it's Sans finally regretting everything he's done and questioning his morals, but I'm not sure if that was the intended direction. I mean, just the transition alone is a little bit off, too. It just goes from this really fast, intense pace to suddenly very, very slow and somber. and it feels like they could have actually built this up more. So, the second half. Without exaggeration, I think these lyrics are peak. The Papyrus voice actor has a beautiful singing voice and hits the emotion of the song so well. His voice echoing over BF and Sans, making their battle feel so in the background, it really gives you the perspective Papyrus has. He wants peace, he wants to see the good side of everything, but he's faced with a dark and grim reality that there is no good left in the underground. The last two people are heartless monsters, and they've destroyed everything in pursuit of revenge. The ballad captures the tragedy of Dustin's story to a perfect degree and is one of the most potent and powerful moments of any moment from the mod. And that's not even diving into the absolute beautiful writing. The way the instrumental dies down when Papyrus sings, "Every soul had to die," is majestic. He's acknowledging the evil in Sans and Boyfriend. He's calling them out for their monstrous acts. And that final line is just so perfect. Sans and Boyfriend aren't paying attention to Papyrus. They're both so blinded by guilt and rage they can't see the error in their own actions. So the "Do you even hear a single word I say?" It is beautiful with this context. Because they're not listening to him. They're not acknowledging the evil they have. Or at least they're trying not to. They're so focused on their own actions they don't care anymore. And it even feels like a call out towards the player. They're so focused on the notes, they're not going to pay attention to Papyrus himself. Only the outsiders will. The people who can't help. The people just like Papyrus. The people who only can watch as everything around them gets destroyed. I could dive deeper into my love for every single lyric in Avulsion, but I'm sure you get the point. Plus, I don't think anyone wants to hear me sit through this song for another 10 minutes. And then it ends with Sans' final effort to kill Boyfriend, only to end in failure. Ironic. Papyrus tried to warn Sans, and it's Sans' fuel for revenge that blinds him. A poetic ending for this song. Avulsion had one change in its final hour version, and all it really is that the instrumental dies down during the "Do you have any regard for any person in your way" line, which doesn't really make sense because the "Every soul had to die" already had a pause, so this line coming in with another pause just makes the pace feel a lot more sluggish to go through, and it just kind of weakens Papyrus' section overall. It doesn't outright ruin the song or anything, but it's a change that doesn't add anything beneficial, it just kind of sabotages it, which is a big shame. Still, the rest of the song is pretty good, so there's not really much to talk about here. Sometimes simple songs just do it for me. Uncreate is a bop. I love Glitch Sans' voice, it's really satisfying to listen to, and flows super well with the instrumental. Ink Sans is basically just a higher pitched Sans, but he actually sounds really good and unique, which is kind of weird given that, I don't know, this version of Sans' higher pitched voice, it sounds so nice, while the default Sans sounds kind of strange when he hits high notes. Odd, I don't really know why my brain is like this sometimes. But I just like how it sounds. He sounds like his own character and is handled really well, especially in contrast to Glitchy Sans. I like that. That's cool. I also like the progression of the song. It does get a little repetitive here and there, but it's never enough to truly bother me. And the middle has a nice tension moment that admittedly doesn't go anywhere, but hey, it still sounds kinda nice. And the ending itself, that's my favorite part of the song. It just goes insanely hard. It's ridiculously catchy. And the song as a whole is just simple yet super enjoyable. It's a bit on the short side, and some of the melodies don't exactly blend well together. And the slow moment could definitely have been more interesting, since it's just kind of a slow pause point before the climax. They could have done more with that. I do think there are other songs from this mod that have a lot more to offer, but I think Uncreate is underrated and deserves more love. Doesn't have any real giant glaring issues or anything, but it doesn't hit some of the same highs the others do. So I'm just left with a very good bop that could have been better. Overthrown is a generic edgy rock song. I'm joking, of course. I rank the song in A tier. Obviously, I like it. I love how this song fits Underfell's style. I know I teased and called it a generic edgy rock, but I think that perfectly fits Underfell. It just fits like a glove. It's great. I love the way this instrumental fits the style. And speaking of the instrumental, it is amazing. I enjoy the guitar in the opener, and the drums really emphasize the power behind Sans. The bell and choir are also great, and then the orchestra comes in. Oh, and that violin during the Phantoms part is absolute perfection, and I love it! This song might just have one of the best instrumentals in the mod. It is incredible, and not a single part of this song is bad in terms of that glorious instrumental. It's so wonderful. And the melodies for the song are great as well, fitting the style and just being really catchy and paced well. So where I struggle with this song a little bit is the vocals. Not BF, he sounds really good in this song, as he mostly does throughout the mod. But then there's Sans. Yeah, this chromatic is kind of similar to Killer Sans, just way better. It's not even close. This chromatic outdoes that one by a mile. And during the second half of the song, after the Phantoms have shown up, he does start to sound really good. But I just feel like there's several parts in the first half where some of his notes come off as a bit awkward and a bit too muffled for my liking. And it's just not a favorite chromatic of mine from the mod, personally speaking, but I still think it's pretty decent. Oh wait, what was that I mentioned about the Phantoms? Oh yeah, it's the coolest part of the song. The writing is really good and they sound nice. The instrumental, as I already mentioned, is glorious during their part. Not to mention the melody itself is just beautiful. Sadly, it's weakened by two factors. BF singing over the Phantoms makes them a little harder to hear, and since the Phantoms were already a bit on the quiet side, making BF sing over them just kinda muddles that a little bit for me. If BF was a little quieter during that part, or just didn't sing over the Phantoms, it would have been better in my opinion. And some of their pronunciation could be a lot better. Like the way they sing Our King is Dead, melody-wise, is great, but it feels like they're skipping over the words our and is, so it just sounds like they're saying King Dead, and Killed by Demon in Red is even worse because it feels like the emphasization of their words is really off for some reason, and it just sounds so hard to understand. It feels like all the different Phantoms are singing at a different pace during that line specifically, and it just sounds off. Still, past those issues, the section itself is really good, and then the section directly after it with Asgore just pounding the ground as the building collapses is so good. Oh, I love that part so much. It is by far the catchiest part of the song. I absolutely love that part. It really does give you the feeling that time is running out, and it's so good. Oh, and you thought Psychopath and Broken Reality were the only songs GF sings in? Nope, she shows up here too! Although she's really not that much of a factor. Her chromatic is pretty good, but it sounds very quiet when Sans starts to sing over her, and she becomes harder to hear. She also doesn't really have a lot of impact. She kind of feels like a last-minute inclusion. But I do love the way her deep voice mixes with BF's high notes. It makes for a great duet, so it makes up for it in my opinion. I would have liked if maybe she got her own moment to shine. That would have been a lot cooler than just having her sing alongside BF, but you know what, I'll take what I can get. She doesn't weaken the song by any means. The song did take its time to grow on me, but when it did, ooh, I finally understood why people loved it so much. It's really good. Bonus, Red Demon O. Yes, sorry everyone, but I won't be able to include Red Demon O in this rank officially. I was warned about it because it's got copyright and I don't really want to take my chances with the audio. I'm really sorry, but I can't take my chances. But I'll briefly mention my thoughts on this song anyways. Now yes, I am aware this is a remix of a song called A Young Girl, which is kinda cool. And the execution? It's done beautifully! It's a loving adaptation of the song and really does fit with just so much justice. The original song really works in FNF's style with how quick the back and forths are. It's impressive how perfectly the song translates here. And Sans' voice is used even better than it was in Overthrown in my opinion. I love the use of the Phantom. Since they aren't singing in clear English, it kinda negates the issue of their pronunciation I had in Overthrown. And they just sound great. GF actually gets her own time in the spotlight in this song too, which is pretty cool. Sadly, she doesn't get her amazing duet with BF like she does in Overthrown, which is a huge shame. And the ending is really kind of like a nothing ending. It's just the instrumental fade out, which I guess isn't a bad way to end the song, but it doesn't do justice for just how much raw power the rest of this song had. And the melodies themselves, like that chorus just hits every time it comes up and makes me forget about any possible issue I could have with this song. It's actually, for me, a low S tier. It doesn't beat out the other S tiers I have from this mod, but it is still really good, and I would totally recommend listening to it on your own time. I love Red Demon O for no real reason other than it just sounds amazing. Remember what I said about consistency? Yeah, Avulsion isn't the only song I love that has consistency issues. Bone Travaganza. I'm sorry, this song, in my opinion, is a little overrated, but I still really like it. So let me talk about the many praises I have for this song. Firstly, the concept itself is really cool. The big concert theme, because Papyrus loves fame and recognition for his work. It's one of his big personality traits in Undertale, after all. It just feels so, like, fitting for his imagination. Plus, he hates the idea that everyone is dead and gone, so of course he'd imagine everyone's alive and cheering him on. That's really cool symbolism. And then there's the music, which is also really good, mostly. The intro is an absolute banger. The song hits you with maximum energy right away, and it sounds fantastic. Papyrus' chromatic sounds insanely good here. BF is great bouncing off of him, especially that part where he's hitting like, yeah, notes. It's all that part is so satisfying. And that instrumental just goes in. Most of the opener is amazing. It just does its job really, really well. And then throughout the rest of the song, there's a lot of amazing melodies. The instrumental is really solid, and the energy of the song is incredible. Then there's one of the big moments of the song. Sans' intro cutscene. Yeah, okay, here's my big complaint of the entire song. It's just a giant cutscene in the middle. And I mean, it's entertaining on first impressions, of course. And the voice acting is still really solid. But it just feels like a very long pause point between the musical elements. And it just has a lot less engagement than pretty much every other part of the song. However, I wouldn't really mind it too much if Sans' entire cutscene hyping him and Papyrus up meant anything. Sans gets a total of 2 turns. One of them is a full turn where he actually does sound really solid, and I like his performance here. And then the other is a very brief duet with Papyrus who overpowers him, making him harder to hear. And oh yeah, he plays the guitar for one single note, which is actually really funny that he does that. That's so in character. I actually really like that. But my point still is that why would you have this entire cutscene building him up if he does very little to actually impact the song? Yes, it's in character for Sans to be lazy and barely contribute. That's absolutely in character. But it feels kind of misleading for the song to build up this cutscene around Sans when he doesn't really add a lot. Granted, musically, the section with Sans and Papyrus is still amazing. Sans does sound good, as I mentioned, and I love the instrumental and the melodies, especially that bam, ba-da, into Papyrus's like whole little pop-off with another Undertale motif. Oh, that is an amazing moment. It absolutely sounds fantastic, musically speaking. So while I'm a little disappointed with the potential this part had, I still think that the execution is done really well. However, that is where my compliments start to fade out, because this is the point where the song starts to fall off for me a bit. Undyne. She enters the song and, okay, you know what? She has by far one of the best chromatics in the mod. Like, arguably, she might have my favorite chromatic from the mod by default. She sounds so tough, yet heavenly, and every note she sings is perfect. At least in Cornered. Here, she used to a much weaker extent. She's a lot less impactful and a lot quieter than she should be, and while her melodies aren't bad in a vacuum, the song just takes such a massive halt in its speed from the fast pace for Undyne, and it just feels kind of out of place from the music side of it. And given how much more Undyne sings than Sans, I'm only feeling twice as confused. Why does Undyne sing more than Sans, but Sans was the one with the big cutscene for the song? I don't understand! Anyways, then the big ending of the song. I mean, I guess it's fine. It's one big guitar solo, which I usually like guitar solos, and I'm not going to say this one's bad, but I do think it's a little bit odd because Papyrus said it was his final attack, so... Huh? Why are you saying it's your big... Why are you saying it's the last attack, but you're not doing anything to BF? Yeah, it's a cool reference to Sans' boss fight in Undertale, but you can't just throw that line in and then completely move past it. Maybe it's a fourth wall break because BF is shredding the guitar and there's a lot of notes, but in the context of the story itself, it feels kind of jarring. But surely, music-wise, it's still a good guitar solo, right? It's okay. It's just BF playing the guitar as fast as possible in a very rapid melody, and that's about all it really is. I don't have a big attachment to this ending, especially with how much potential it had. Papyrus, Sans, and Undyne could have had, like, a final trio act, or maybe not even Undyne. Maybe just Papyrus and Sans could have had one final pop-off against BF, which would have done a little bit more for me than just guitar solo for some reason. The song starts perfectly, has a lot of great elements, but by the time Undyne is thrown in, the song has lost so much of its steam that it really can't land higher on my list. Still, it does have some of the most grand, hype, and amazing moments from the soundtrack, which did give it a huge edge over much of its competition. But there was too many weak elements for me to really feel comfortable ranking the song higher, especially with some of the other songs that were just more consistently enjoyable for me personally.
Hey yo, I'm so rich, my homies take showers for me. I got you, homie.
Homicide. I love this song, honestly. It wastes absolutely no time in throwing you into the most dramatic possible tone. That choir in the instrumental immediately just makes the song feel so dark and menacing. And the vocals are great as well. Papyrus's new chromatic is so good. It makes him sound like he's just not all there mentally, but he's still smart enough to be a competent threat, and his voice works so well with these melodies, especially that final build-up near the end of the song, but I'm getting carried away. I love the back and forths between Paps and Sans. Paired with that amazing instrumental, it just emphasizes these voices so much better, and really allows them to flow with each melody in a very natural way. Sans is solid. I'll admit my big issue with the song is how quiet he sounds, and I mean, I guess I do think that Sans being quieter than Papyrus helps the song's tone. I'll still admit, I do wish he was more audible and less drowned out in the duets. But his chromatic itself still sounds pleasant and sort of fits his character. That flashback part and the ending are especially catchy, because the melodies of this song are really good, especially in those two parts. The flashback part just hits due to how peaceful it seems at first, a reflection on what used to be. But then Papyrus changes in a split moment with seemingly no warning. And with each kill Papyrus acts upon, each turn you can just feel this power growing through him and the sins crawling up his spine. It's a great showcasing of the little story through the music. Especially since this song seems to be from Papyrus's perspective, which I'll talk about a little later. It really does make this flashback part feel so much more dark than it first lets on to be. And then that last segment, where it slowly speeds up before Papyrus does the unthinkable, is amazing and complements the song wonderfully. The intense, the dark, yet catchy melodies, and that backing melody is just so good. The instrumental becoming more and more climactic, all up into that final scream where Sans finally understands way too late what his brother has become. And now I'm going to talk about the tone, because ooh, I like the storytelling and the tone here of this song. It's really good. The tone of the song feels so dark, but not in the usual way. It almost feels like that moment when a character finally becomes a complete monster, and all from their own eyes. The song really shows the mental anguish from Papyrus as he grapples with killing everyone around him, including the person he loves most, his own brother. The song feels tragic, yet so intense, because Papyrus has this feeling that he needs to do this. He has to. And that's why I think it kind of works that Sans is a little quieter, because Papyrus isn't listening to Sans. He's just listening to his own explanation in his head over and over again about why he has to, why he's justifying everything he does. And the ending also has some pretty cool symbolism in it too. While I do think that musically the pixelated section is a little unnecessary, it could also symbolize why Papyrus justifies what he's done, because it's all a game to him. At least that's his way of trying to cope with all of what has happened up to this point. And I'll admit it's a bit of a stretch, but still, it's the best explanation I got. And that, now that he's actually done the unforgivable, it just makes him go even more insane than he already was. He doesn't stop. He continues to kill and destroy because he believes it's the only way. Also, musically, it's ridiculously catchy in my opinion. It's a banger of a song with so many strong elements that I do really like. What's that? What do I think of the demo version? Sorry, demo fans, but I really don't like it. Papyrus sounds really annoying and unserious for how dark the song is trying to be. He doesn't convey Papyrus to me at all. It doesn't flow nicely in the song. His chromatic sounds choppy. Sans is somehow worse. Both chromatics are way too high-pitched, making every duet sound incredibly messy and hard to follow due to how similar they are. And even on his own, Sans has this weird effect on his voice that makes him sound like he's singing underwater, and the ending is just empty and hollow and boring. Wow, I love long notes with annoying chromatic and basically no instrumental. That makes me feel so emotional. Yay! Anyway, yeah, the chromatics kind of tanked this one. Thank goodness for the new chromatics. I do not like the demo version. Inopia. This one's so creepy and I love it for that. I like BF's chromatic. It sounds pretty cool. Wait, what do you mean his name is Kevin? I like how he sounds more raspy, fitting the Horror Tale style. And Sans and Papyrus are the same way, and it gives the song a lot of character. The melodies are pretty catchy, and the instrumental sounds so fitting for the context. I love its more old-timey vibes. It really does sound like Sans is trying his best to make himself look more friendly, but the dark undertones make you feel uneasy being around him. Kinda like how old-timey music is for a lot of people nowadays. It should sound pleasant and wholesome and cute, but a lot of people nowadays find it unnerving. I think that's a brilliant little parallel to Horror Tale Sans. That's amazing. The melodies are also really fun and bouncy, especially during that last melody of Sans' phase before Papyrus shows up. That melody gets stuck in my head so often, and it just sounds really nice. And the sudden surprise of Papyrus showing up out of nowhere is a great tonal shift. It's like a mini jump scare, but it's not an emphasis on the scary side, because Papyrus isn't trying to be scary. It's incredible. It parallels his character so well. Sure, he's terrifying by appearance, but he's really not trying to be a threat. I love that. Papyrus sounds great in this song with his raspier voice. It flows super well with the melodies, and I like how frantic and chaotic the melodies get, as well as just being extremely catchy without going overboard. And especially that last little bit where once Sans wakes up, they all start trading off of each other's turns in quick succession. That's some awesome stuff and is by far the catchiest part of the song. And just, it feels so all over the place. And then, it builds up into that insane moment. Not insane as in musically, I mean insane as in look at Sans and Papyrus. They've gone nuts. It finally drops any playfully good intentions the song may have tried to run by you, and it drops any mask it had. It just, the moment everything goes red, the way Sans' voice gets so much deeper, the way the bass slows down, it just feels so uneasy and really throws you into Kevin's position.
Yo, who actually named him Kevin?
He's in a situation where he has no idea what's about to happen, and he's so on edge. It's perfectly executed and lets the song fit Horror Tale like a glove. It feels friendly and inviting at first, but the vocals are uneasy enough to make you feel like something's off. It's uncanny, and it's done so well. It's very hard to achieve this from a song's perspective, to do this simultaneously, and Anopia does it so well. And it only gets more and more uneasy as the song progresses. However, for as much as I do like this song, I have to admit it kind of drops the ball with the ending. The ending of the song just feels too empty. It really could have done a lot more, but it just feels slightly unfinished. The build up into the insane moment could have led to something even more of a snap from Sans and Papyrus letting go, and just going for the kill, especially Sans. The rest of the song had the right startup, but the ending just doesn't provide enough. At most, it's got some decently catchy melodies, but that's about it. And the melodies aren't at fault here. They really could work. Where the song falls for me is in the instrumental. It's just too restrained, and it's not contributing nearly enough to be as satisfying as it could be. The instrumental has a piano, which is kind of neat, but it just syncs with the vocals, which normally is not a bad thing. Normally that's a very good thing, but it's just impossible to hear at this point, and it doesn't leave enough instruments to carry up the tone of the ending, at least not enough. And it no longer has any of that old-timey, uncanny feeling that the rest of the song had, and instead feels a bit too basic. It's a bit of a letdown for how nailed the rest of the song is. But still, it's incredible, and it really does a lot right. Even though the ending does kinda hold it back for me, I still adore how this song sounds, and it does a lot right that deserves so much respect. Anopia Spooky Mix is easily the best thing to come out from that stream build. It's not amazing, but it's pretty solid, which is more than I can say for the rest of the stuff that came from that stream. While this song doesn't have the same charming old-timey feel that Inopia has, thus losing all the uncanniness that made that song so brilliant, it still sounds really good from a musical perspective, because it's got more of the Spooky Kids route in terms of its music, with like organ pipes and stuff like that, and it really does kind of remind you out of something that would have come from the Spooky Month series, which is actually really cool, and it's not a bad blend between Horror Tales style and the Spooky Kids style. It really works. And the Spooky Kids honestly sound alright in this version too. I have my nitpicks, like the chemistry really not being that present with the Spooky Kids and Sans and Papyrus the way Kevin had.
Why is that his name?
Sans also sounds a little off at a couple times, and Papyrus not having a replacement for that "is that a human?" line is really weird, and like, could they not have filled that in with anything at all? Like, why is it just empty? I don't like that. And the ending is weirdly kind of slow in the instrumental area, but still, it's not a bad alternative to the main Inopia, and if you guys like that song, I'd suggest giving this spooky variant a listen sometime. You might love it or hate it. I don't know. I think it's good, and it does quite a bit right, and it still has a lot of the elements that did make Inopia good. Not, admittedly, Inopia's strongest elements, but it still has, like, good melodies. Sans and Papyrus still mostly sound pretty good. And the instrumental is actually pretty good and sounds very solid. Doesn't have the charm that Inopia had, but it does sound good, which is what's important, I guess. And, again, definitely the best thing to come out of the stream build.
Well, this stinks.
For the opening song of the mod, I gotta admit, I am impressed by Perseverance. It's really good. The intro is the highlight of the song for me. It starts off so mysterious, menacing, and dramatic, and it's just the best way not only to start off the song, but the whole mod. Sans and Boyfriend's chemistry is off the charts here. Like, it's so good. This arguably has like the best back and forths with Sans and BF specifically. I love how it's handled. It's just perfect. On top of sounding amazing, this whole intro, it just captures all the emotion it needs to. It's a great intro. And I'm not done with compliments. I love Sans and Boyfriend throughout the whole song. They sound great. There's only one other song in the mod where I think the two of them together sound better, but we'll get there much later. And the rest of the song is just great. The instrumental is really solid. The Megalovania reference is super well paced, and it's a great musical motif moment. And the ending is spectacular. If I had to nitpick about this song, though, there is definitely one section that holds this song back a bit for me, and that's the pixelated section. I don't love it particularly. Sans and Boyfriend's voices definitely get a little weaker here. They're not ruined or anything. It's like they're taking A+ chromatics, and they're kind of turning it into like A-, maybe B+. Like, it's not a giant drop, but it's still a drop, and I don't know. I don't know if they could have done it better. This is probably the best they could have done for a pixelated section for their vocals, but I don't know. It's still a little on the weaker side. However, there's got to be some story merit, right? Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense. No other song in the mod uses this except for Homicide, but that one at least had a symbolic reason, I guess. Even then, it was a bit of a stretch. However, here it just sort of happens because it does, I guess. I really don't see the story reason for why that pixelated section is there. And musically, it is the weakest part of the song. It's not even that bad, because melody-wise, it's still very catchy, and the instrumental actually sounds pretty nice during that part. So I don't mind it, and it's short, so, you know, that's nice. But otherwise, that section is just very okay for what's otherwise an amazing song. And then, of course, the song continues on with some fun back and forth, and then that Megalovania reference is amazing. I love it. And that voice line is so well delivered that I'm not gonna let you get away this time. There's so much hate poured into that line. I love great voice acting. What can I say? It's so fun to hear. And then the ending is just spectacular. Like, I love how it sounds. It's so good and engages you into the mod. It hooks you in and makes you really want to see what else this mod has in store. It's an incredible first song. Oh, right. Perseverance stream build. I actually forgot this one even had a stream build, honestly. I remember Avulsion had a stream build more than this one. That's crazy. That one had the least amount of changes out of all of them. I mean, this one's not bad. It's probably the best out of the stream build changes, but, like, also not really. They're not good changes. Most of the song is pretty much the same except for two tiny changes. One change is that Boyfriend sings in a slightly different pitch for a note for the Megalovania reference. It's not a giant change, but it's very noticeable, and I much prefer BF's high note in the original version. It's not bad enough to ruin the part, but it's just a change that's just noticeable enough to make it think, no, that's not how it's supposed to be, and it sounds off. But the big change that everybody else will talk about is Pico. He replaces Sans for the pixelated part, and I don't know how to feel about this. Musically, I definitely preferred Sans' version for the melody, and this version is... I really don't know how to feel about this one. Like, story-wise, I actually sort of see the logic, like... BF sees Sans as Pico, thus why he attacks him, but at the same time, that the song didn't really need to convey that since the cutscene already did it. I'm not against the song showing it in said song itself. That's not a bad idea at all. In fact, usually I prefer it being in the songs rather than the cutscenes, but I mean, I still feel like it's a little unnecessary since that was never a super important piece of detail for the sake of the story to begin with. Boyfriend was already kind of violent based on what happened to Girlfriend, so it's like, is it really necessary at that point? And musically, I just don't know how to feel about it because the instrumental changes a lot, and I actually think the instrumental works well in context of Pico, but Pico's voice is still not great. It's used a lot better than it is in The Uprising, but like, that's still not much. I don't know, the section kind of confuses me. I don't outright think it's a bad idea or section. It's fine, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one. It's fine enough, I guess. And the changes it's not ruining the song or anything. So yeah. Oh, and GF's sprite changed. That's kind of neat. I actually don't know if I like this sprite more than the old one. I think they're both good sprites. What do you guys prefer? You let me know in the comments below. But I mean, yeah, that still doesn't change the song. But I don't know. I just thought that's kind of neat.
Sans blood pasta, hear its cry.
Dustin team, you guys deserve a round of applause. You made a joke song without resorting to unfunny sound effects, intentionally bad music, easily ageable memes, and on top of all that, you made it a banger. Oh, I love this song. Their indie cross chromatics for Sans and Papyrus, that is really cool, and I recognized it instantly. And admittedly, in Indie Cross, I don't think it's aged super well, though that could also just be an effect of me not really liking those songs very much anymore, which is a topic for another time. But here they are used wonderfully. They outclass any performance from Indie Cross tenfold. I love Sans' chromatic here. The deep notes he hits are chilling, and Frisk is also pretty cool. Admittedly, Frisk is probably the weakest element of the song, because in concept it works, like high notes paired with sans deep notes, that should be perfect, but in execution, I don't know, Frisk is just alright. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I still like Frisk's chromatic. I just don't feel like it's, like, one of the best from this mod. It's just a decent chromatic. Which, that's not a bad thing. The fact that I'm saying it's a good part of the song and it's the weakest part should be telling you guys how good these past few songs have been. I love this. Anyways, I love the melodies for this one. Like, how are these melodies this good? The motifs throughout this part of the song are just so great. The quick back and forths are amazing, and that final bit with Sans' long notes is just so satisfying. The song is just all around fantastic. And then it's a pretty quick cut into Papyrus's phase, which, I mean, I feel like the transition is a little bit wonky, but also Papyrus's dialogue there is enough of your puns, Sans. Just sets the tone for how silly this song is, yet how dramatic it's about to go. The direction of this second phase just takes everything good from the first phase and turns it, like, it cranks it up to 100. Cause, whoa! This section alone makes this song go from great to peak. Like, I love Papyrus's chromatic. It's got that high note energy that Frisk had, but it has so much more personality in it, and I adore it. And all the melodies are still great. The motifs are so amazing. That instrumental with that over-the-top choir is so well done. It's combining the Undertale charm with the overly dramatic nature that this song is going for, and it's like, why is this song so good? That main climax where Sans and Papyrus have that little, like, quick back and forth, all leading into the blind pasta hit its cry. Like, huh? Why is Genocides such a good song? Is Genocides, like, what more do I need to justify? It's one of the fan favorites of Dustin for a reason. It's just fun. It's just a good, fun song. I love it.
It is me, the great Papyrus, and I'm going to be teaching you how to cook.
Kind Morto is so interesting to me on so many levels. It manages to feel like two completely different songs, but blended together perfectly. The first half with Papyrus is amazingly catchy. A lot of the melodies are similar to Bone Trousel, but not in a way that makes you think you're just listening to a one-to-one recreation. It's different enough to feel like something new and exciting, but similar enough to feel kind of nostalgic in a way, and I adore that. And not to mention, they're just super fun to listen to, and the instrumental is really charming and cute too. And of course, the opening line of dialogue is hysterical. Like, I love that, because in the original demo version, he just sort of said it, and then Boyfriend started to sing, and it made actually no sense. People try to justify it as like, oh, a genocide route, you already knew what's coming. That's such a stretch, and y'all know it. But the new line, the new little added bit is there too. Also, Papyrus's new voice actor is like so much better. Yeah, like whoever made the call to replace Papyrus's voice actor and entire chromatic for that matter, they made the best possible call they could for the mod, because yikes, have you heard that old chromatic? Like, ooh, yeah, I've already said enough about it. I really don't like it. Anyways, the song then continues on to Papyrus's death. The voice acting, again, is really well done here. I love Papyrus's final little line there. I just love how I love it. I don't know what else I can say about it. And not to mention, I think the voice acting, I love it so much in this song, because it's arguably, like, the most important song to have dialogue. I mean, UR would have also greatly benefited from it, but... And I just like it because it sets up each section. It adds to Papyrus's character and makes that whole Papyrus section feel more charming, and then it really well signifies exactly like the tonal change into the second half with Sans. Speaking of which, oh, the second half is so good. The second half just conveys this tone of shock so well. It's not some grand battle. It's playing off as dark and dramatic like Homicide did, but even more so. Sans has officially crossed the line and the point of no return. He's done the unthinkable, killed the person he loved most, and the instrumental shows this tone beautifully, and it's so well done. It's not over the top, but it's doing just enough to give you that gut reaction of, oh, what have you done? And the melodies are amazing. They get stuck in my head, especially that ba-da-da-dum-ba-da. During that duet, oh, it's so good. The song isn't trying too hard. It leaves the other songs later in the story mode to really fill in the role of intensity. This one is just shocking you and showing you what Sans is capable of. And then that ending with the beautiful piano fade and that video game aesthetic there. Oh, that's a perfect ending. Honestly, I can't see why someone wouldn't at least like this one. It's so good.
What about this?
A manor.
A haunted...
Haunted is amazing. Papyrus just sounds incredible during this song. I adore the way his chromatic just slides throughout every single note. It's so fluid and natural, and the Papyrus chromatic was already one of the mod's best, being probably my personal fourth favorite. The only ones I like more being Kara, specifically the Thermal Shock one, Mettaton Neo, and of course Sunday! And this song in particular might have the best version of Papyrus in the mod. They're all amazing, of course, but Dust Belief has probably my favorite version of his chromatic. It's either this or Dust Swap Papyrus. I kind of bounce between the two, since they both have stunning performances. Specifically Dust Belief for Haunted, and then Dust Swap for Thermal Shock, so it's really hard for me to pick. But I just think this one slightly is a little bit better in terms of the way the chromatic sounds. Just, again, it's so well used. And every note is hit precisely, and I love it for that. And BF also sounds really good. The melodies are amazing all around, and that instrumental is just breathtaking. I love the use of the waterfall theme throughout the song. It's enchanting, especially during the ending, when they're using the bells for the waterfall theme. Whoo! I love how that sounds. And hey, look, Sans is in this song. And unlike in Bone Travaganza, he actually feels like he's working alongside Papyrus instead of just being kind of a hype moment and being underutilized. However, I do still have a tiny issue with Sans, and it has nothing to do with the melodies, pretty much. And his intro is, I mean, it's alright, I guess. It's a bunch of long notes, and I mean, I kind of get why that's the case, because he's a phantom version of himself, so it's meant to make him sound more eerie and haunting. That was terrible. This is a good idea on paper for long notes. However, I feel like it could have been executed better if they gave him a proper phantom effect the way that Papyrus does in Cornered and Broken Reality. Because without any changes to the chromatic, he just sounds exactly the same as he always does, which I don't think was the best way to execute his voice. In Bone Extravaganza, it was fine because he didn't appear as a phantom. He appeared more alive because of Papyrus's imagination, but here he's much more explicitly a phantom. So, him not having that effect is really strange to me. However, the instrumental is still really good, and Sans does sound great. I just think he could have sounded better. And that tense part directly after his intro is so satisfying as well. And I just have a bigger love for the rest of the songs on the list, but who knows, maybe this one will grow on me over time. It certainly grew on me thus far. Like, it used to be around number 15 to 14, and now it's up here in the top 10. I mean, that should say quite a bit. And last thing I wanted to mention is the art, because, again, doesn't affect the ranking ever, but, like, this song has the most gorgeous art I've ever seen in an FNF song, and this mod already had phenomenal looking songs. Cornered, Heatwave, You Are, Thermal Shock, Red Screen, Inopia, Uncreate, Vindication. They all have some stunning art, but Haunted just... oh wow. Haunted is visually the most jaw-dropping song in the mod. It is actually gorgeous. That comic book aesthetic with all the lighting and the different sprite arts, the team deserves so much respect for how, like, gorgeous this art is. It's beautiful. And I think it just deserved to be mentioned because, goodness, this is one of the most visually appealing songs ever. I love how it looks.
Yourself in the music, the moment you own it, you will never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss a chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
Red Screen is one of the catchiest songs in this soundtrack, and I will die on that hill. It's also the most underrated in my opinion. A lot of people overlook this one, and I think that's such a shame, because I love this one for so many reasons. First, big praise, I love how Senpai sounds. They managed to make a chromatic that both perfectly sounds like Senpai's original voice without any of the pixelation, which is insanely impressive, because it's not like you could have just taken Senpai's chromatic and removed the pixelation filter or anything. You would have had to recreate it from scratch, and they did that perfectly. And not only that, but they made it super fun to listen to. His chromatic bounces with each melody so fluidly, and those deep notes, that's satisfying stuff right there. I love his deep notes. And Kara also sounds great as well. Not as good as the one in Thermal Shock, but still a really good chromatic. I like the slight whispered tone in the chromatic. It helps distinguish Senpai and Kara's voices. I'll admit they blend together a little too much during during like a few of the duets here in the first phase, but it's not that bad. I like the melodies, they're really catchy, and they slowly start to convey how dark the song is getting, and then that... that pop-off, though! Oh, I love that pop-off so much. It parallels like the melodies of Roses without directly being a Roses reference. It also kind of sounds like Thorns, like it almost sounds like a mix, and I adore that. And it's not a direct reference from what I know, so that's cool. Like, it's still an original melody, but it gives off the same vibe those melodies did, and I think that's done so well. And then Senpai's chromatic is beautifully mixed along with Spirit's chromatic and makes for a great duo of chromatics. And Kara also gets Asriel as a background singer with them, and I love how they sound together. It really makes the entire second part just sound super intense. Admittedly, like a few other instances in this mod, Azrael could have maybe sung on his own or just been louder, since he gets a little bit buried underneath Spirit and Kara and the instrumental, but his chromatic is still really good on its own, and I think it does pair super well with Kara. So, it works. And then that Thorns reference. I love the way it kicks in. The instrumental dropping adds so much tension, and then it just kicks back into overdrive when the rest of the phase starts to take center stage. Spirit fully being in control with how glitchy and dark it is, and Kara's higher, more human voice gives a perfect parallel of voices. And then that final ending. Oh, I love it! The little drop and stop in the music before just slowly building back up. Ooh, I absolutely love that. It is such a good ending. It is like... It is... How do I even put in words how much I absolutely adore the way Red Screen ends? This song did take a little bit of time to grow on me, but just its catchiness alone really sold that this one was going to be a favorite of mine from this mod. And I really don't even know what else they could have done to make it more perfect. Maybe Kara and Senpai could have been a slight bit more distinct in that first phase, and maybe Kara could have sounded a little more interesting. But, like, Red Screen fans, we win today.
We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
Thermal Shock deserves all the love it gets and so much more. To start off, the fact that it begins with that distorted melody of the core before leading into the rest of the song is just bone-chilling. I absolutely love it. And then, of course, the big highlight of the song, Kara. Kara has my third favorite chromatic in the entire mod. It is 10 out of 10. It is peak. It is just heavenly to listen to. It kind of captures the smugness of the sprites while also just sounding like what I would imagine Kara sounds like. It's absolutely incredible. And there is just this raw energy that Thermal Shock has right in its opening melodies. It just sounds so good. Papyrus also, he sounds just as good as Kara here. His chromatic is used perfectly. I love the chemistry and the contrast between the two of the vocals. They just have such a great balance, and the melodies they sing fit both chromatics perfectly. Neither of them feel like they're lacking. They just sound perfect together, and that instrumental just goes absolutely in. The guitar is so good, especially with when it starts slowing down. It just has this impact that it really shouldn't. I normally don't like it when songs just stop and then start again. But this one kind of does it weirdly in a way, kind of right. I don't love it, but I do like it. And then that slow moment where everything starts to calm down a bit. It gives the song a moment to breathe from all the action and intensity the song had before. And it just sounds great. Papyrus still sounds amazing. And the way it just has this echo effect, it really sounds nice, and I love it. It's muffled, but in the best way. It really does make you feel like you're inside of Papyrus's head as he's regretting everything he's done. The melody is nice, and the Bone Trussel reference is really cool. And then, yeah, Sans' part. I mean, what can I say about this part? It's just so good. Sans sounds amazing. He's got a great phantom effect on his voice that I absolutely love and really makes him sound more ghostly and eerie and haunting. And Papyrus gets to chime in a few more times, which I do like. And the back and forths are just really good here. The melodies are absolutely fantastic. The instrumental is just popping off. And then that line delivery that kicks in. He should have never trusted you. We should have never trusted you. Why does the voice acting actually just make this mod so much cooler? Like, all these songs with the voice acting in it, just like, it just makes the songs better. I don't know how, it just does. And then, I love this final section. Even if, in my opinion, it's the weakest part of the song. That's not saying it's bad! I love this ending. It's amazing. It's really good, especially with the Another Medium reference near the end. And that loop around back to the opener's melodies is great. I think it's the weakest part only because those first two turns, like, I don't know, the melodies are still good here. I like them, but feels a little bit off to me. I don't know, I'm getting used to it, and I still think it sounds nice. It's just the weakest part of the song. I feel like it could have hit a little harder there from the transition from Sans' part into that final segment. This feels a little weaker than the rest of the song had. But at that point, I'm nitpicking because I have to justify why this isn't in my top 2. Because, like, otherwise Thermal Shock just does everything right. And that final climax of the song just sounds absolutely amazing. And then that piano fade at the end. Woo-hoo! Oh, I love this song! It was pretty easily a contender to be one of the best songs from the mod. It gets talked about a lot, and I think it deserves all the love it gets and more. Thermal Shock is fantastic. Thermal Shock GF mix. You know what? This actually gives me a little bit of time to breathe and collect myself because Thermal Shock as a song is absolutely phenomenal. So obviously this one can't be bad, right? I mean, it's not terrible. It's just kind of a bad cover. Yeah, no, that's kind of all this one really is to me. Like, GF's chromatic is just not well used. Like, it doesn't, like I said in Psychopath, it just doesn't have the range to hit as hard as it should. And it's replacing Kara, who was like the big, awesome highlight of Thermal Shock. So you just automatically notice the decline in quality there. And to add insult to injury, Papyrus is also significantly worse. Like, I swear, there is something missing from his voice. I don't know if he's off tune or just off pitch. I think he's off pitch. I don't think he's off tune necessarily. Even though he definitely sounds like he's not singing the way he should be. But I think there's like some kind of filter missing from his voice that made it so powerful and strong in the original Thermal Shock. While here, it just doesn't sound right. There's something off about his voice, and it just sounds... No. Why does he sound like that? It makes his chromatic sound more plain and distracting, and I don't like that. Why does he sound so much worse? What happened? He's got to be off-pitch. That's the only reasonable thing I could think is wrong with his voice. That or there's some kind of effect they forgot to add, and I don't know, because in the flashback part, he sounds normal. But it's like, any part besides that, he doesn't sound right. What? And Sans is also not very well mixed. He's actually horribly mixed. He's really high-pitched and way louder than he should be, and he's also missing the phantom effect he had before, which was the thing that I loved the most about his voice. Like, yeah, you could argue there's still kind of a filter, but now he sounds less echoey and more just annoying. What did they do to the vocals? Like, if it was just GF who was a change, this really wouldn't have bothered me, but Sans and Papyrus are just so much worse. What happened? Why? The only other change I noticed is that before the core explodes, like in that transition after the dialogue, there's like dialogue about the core exploding, but it's not very well done because I can barely understand a word that's being said. So that's I don't know. I mean, there's got to be some compliments, right? GF's sprites are kind of neat. No, wait, that's a visual change. That doesn't affect it. I like the added little laughter in the beginning. It's a lot more noticeable than Kara's little giggle, which is kind of cool. And I think in concept, GF being here kind of makes a bit of sense, like BF being in the original story mode, so it's a swap, so GF should fill in. But at the same time, wasn't Boyfriend already a fill-in for Frisk? Doesn't Kara still make more sense? I don't know, I could see either argument being made, and I don't think in concept this is a bad idea at all. So that's, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to find something that's worthwhile for this song, but like, I genuinely, I can't. This song is just, no. Just listen to the original, please.
That's what I should record it like. I should just go like, fear not, citizens, for I, Sans, am here. But such a...
It is time. We're at Cornered. The song I have been lightly mentioning throughout pretty much the entire video at this point. Where do I even... Like, actually, where do I even begin? This song is so good, I don't even know how to talk about it. The instrumental is glorious, arguably my favorite instrumental in the mod. The guitar is godly, the bells and choir are perfectly implemented into that opener. The orchestral nature of it all, it's strong, powerful, intense, just like Undyne. I just love this more than I can put into words, how perfect the instrumental and the whole style of the song perfectly fits Undyne as a character. And of course, the chromatic is my favorite from the mod, as I already mentioned. And just every single note she sings is genuinely perfect. The echo in her voice during some parts of the song, especially when she becomes Undyne the Undying, is really, really nice. And then the way that her pitch constantly can go from high notes to low notes in such a natural way is actually just unbelievable. The pairing it has with BF and Sans, the uniqueness of her chromatic, I've never heard anything like this before, and it's just the best. And her melodies in the opening are just gorgeous. And with Sans and Undyne, or BF and Undyne duet, any duet with Undyne is just heavenly, just because of Undyne alone. I don't know what to tell you. Undyne's high notes are just so beautiful. The tone of this intro is so good as well. It's the most intense fight of Undyne's life. She has to put her all into this. And she plans to win no matter how much fight it takes. It's a beautiful use of her chromatic and a perfect blend of everything else happening in the moment, and just captures the event so well for storytelling's sake. And that's just talking about the amazing and jaw-dropping opening. Then the song starts to slow down a bit. Undyne and Sans get their bearings in the fight, with BF following the flow, adapting to the situation. Love that. I love how the instrumental sounds, especially that little bit with the waterfall sound font. Ooh, I love that. And then Papyrus takes center stage. Oh, the instrumental in this phase is amazing. Very similar to how good it was in Broken Reality, but tenfold. I love the laughter entering his phase. I love the sound of his chromatic. I adore the part where he sings a lot of quick notes and then he hits like a double long note. Genocides did that too, but I think it's done just as well here, and it's also done in Heatwave, but we'll talk about Heatwave later. And it's just so much fun to listen to. His whole section, even though I think it's maybe the weakest part of the song, it's still like phenomenal. The song is perfectly paced. It's not too long or intrusive or anything. It's all perfectly handled. Oh, and I love Papyrus' little scream as he fades out and Undyne returns, the instrumental returning to the intense phase. It sounds great, and then she gets struck. The subtle choir during this part plays in parallel so perfectly to Undertale during the Genocide route. How did they nail this song so well? And then, what can I even bring up about Undyne the Undying? I mean, it's perfect. The beat just fuels this song with nothing but pure determination. Sansa's laugh of false confidence also gives him a lot of character during this song too, and it's great. And Undyne just completely steals the show here, singing loud and powerful with the other two. The melodies are amazing, and it all builds up into that final phase when she starts to melt. What an amazing ending that is. It still has the heroic theme of the song, but now twisted into somberness. With the true hero of the underground being killed, hope has now just gone down for everyone. Everything in this song is beautiful. The chromatics are used amazingly. The instrumental is glorious. The melodies are fun and flow well with the song. And it all builds up into an extremely satisfying storytelling masterpiece. Sure, maybe it could have been a little catchier. Maybe they could have used a little more references from Undyne's themes. But, like, I don't mind that they didn't. Because the song is still beautiful as is. I adore it. And yet, this song only ended up as number 2. What could possibly beat out something so grand, beautiful, and cinematic? What indeed, darlings? gonna lie, this is my least favorite change from the entire stream build. Just cause there is nothing positive I have to say about this version of Cornered. Outside of the fact that most of the song is still good, this intro is just... it's just not good. It's just so much worse in every possible way. I'm sorry if you like this new version, but I'm just gonna straight up tell you, I think this version butchers not only Cornered as a song, but Undyne's entire character. Hear me out. Undyne still sounds great as always, sure, but what really sucks with this new version of the intro, I don't even know if it's new or if this is an older version of it, I don't know. This stream build version of the intro now really doesn't do Undyne any favors. In the original, she had a bunch of really fast and really high-pitched notes, which showed her range in handling super fast melodies, which pretty much no other part of Cornered really had outside of very brief moments. So the original intro showed some of Undyne's strengths in that area, which is a great thing. This final hour stream build just doesn't do that at all. She now hits just a lot of slower, deeper notes, but that was completely unnecessary because she already does that in her somber moments in the original. So it's just adding more of what was already in Cornered and not providing anything new from a range perspective for Undyne, which is not good. And the melodies are also a lot worse. I love how frantic the original openers is. This version is just really boring. And that's just talking about Undyne's range and melodies. There is so much more that this intro just does bad. Primarily the storytelling reason. In fact, this is why I hate it so much. Tell me this. Does it make any sense for Undyne, who's in a situation where she's being jumped by two threats that she's trying to survive against, attacking her from both sides, and the only emotion in her heart at the moment is anger, as shown in the cutscene beforehand, no somberness, just pure rage. Why would the song, which is starting from her perspective, start somber? That actually doesn't make sense. It made sense in the other two parts of Cornered where it becomes more somber. When she first gets hit, because then she feels like she's failed everyone, playing off of how it was in the original Undertale. And then at the very ending, she's dying, but she still feels like she's got at least something done. So there's that closure. It's heroic in tone, but still sad because you've lost your true hero there. This new intro is just slow and somber because it is, and it doesn't make any sense. Undyne's being jumped. The only thing that she should be feeling is anger and panic, which the original captured beautifully. This new version doesn't do that. And it sounds so wrong. It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. And the instrumental is also, it just doesn't really hit at all during that section either. So, the final hour stream build completely changes the intro, butchers Undyne's character, replaces the amazing melodies. Does it add anything new? No, all it does is just hurt Cornered as a whole. I really, really don't like this version. I'm sorry if you do. I know there are a lot of people who will say that this version is better, but genuinely and honestly, I do not understand how people could go to like this version more than the original when it offers basically nothing new and only takes away from what made Cornered so perfect to me.
My name is Mettaton and I am here to sing. My name is Mettaton and I am here to sing. My name is Mettaton and so let no one say. My name is Mettaton.
Heat wave. This was never a contest. Just by the first few seconds upon hearing this song, I knew it was going to be my favorite. but I didn't realize I was going to adore this song with my very soul. I can, like, how, start one piece at a time, Neo. The first phase with Sans alone already outdid Cornered. I'm dead serious. Sans' deep notes hit so different in this song, and it's by far my favorite performance of the mod from Sans for me. He goes full force here against BF, and you can just feel the rage in his voice as he's singing. And the melodies are fantastic. They're really catchy and really impactful. The way Sans' voice rises during that second turn, and his backing voice against BF with his long notes is really, really satisfying. And also, there's a lot of parts in this bit where it's the bunch of notes followed by a really long note, or not really long note, but you get my point, a long note, just like Papyrus did in Cornered. Oh, I absolutely love it. Like, it parallels what's already been happening throughout the story, and I love that. It's so tonally consistent, and I adore it so much. And the chemistry between BF is just off the charts. BF is also at his best here, by the way. His high notes are gorgeous. And I haven't even brought up the perfection in the instrumental yet. I adore how it perfectly captures the vibes of the Hotlands and the core at the same time. And those were two kind of different musical styles, so to blend them together and give off the vibes of both at the exact same time is gorgeous. And not to mention, every time it drops for the vocals in some of those first few turns, which makes the vocals and instrumental feel so much more perfect together, and then the metal thumping, foreshadowing the appearance of Mettaton Neo later, was so good. In the drop where the core starts to blare its alarms, and the way BF and Sans start to sound so quiet, it is perfect. Like, you know someone's watching, you're not alone, and then when it returns to normal, there's something still off about it because the energy's died down, because you know someone's there. And then, bam, the core explodes. The eerie sounds of the empty Hotlands fill in for a few seconds before the music rises up. How can I not love this part? That build-up into Mettaton Neo's phase is, honest to God, the single best entrance of a secondary character in an FNF song ever created. It is a perfect fit for Mettaton's character and personality. Everything in it is perfect. And then with Mettaton's chime-ins of the 3, 2, 1, go with his "oh yes" from his voice. Oh, and then that's so familiar melody. It is perfect. I love it so much. His face is perfect. Woo! Mettaton Neo's chromatic fits him perfectly, being cocky and smug while being deep and luxurious like his personality. BF starts popping off here as well, as Mettaton just takes over the entire song, just like he would do in canon. All the attention is on him, and I love how Sans is completely speechless at Mettaton Neo's appearance. He was already stunned by Undying the Undying, but this doesn't scare him, he's just shocked. But he plays it out. He sees Mettaton is solely focused on BF, so why not kill two birds with one stone? He lets them tire each other out to kill them both, and it almost works. But it's even better because Mettaton isn't doing this. He isn't taking over the song for fame and attention. He's doing it for the sake of revenge. He is the last final chance of the underground in his eyes. And even if he may die, he's gonna put on a show doing it. That tense moment where Mettaton and BF duet is so amazing too, followed up by the Metal Crusher or Death by Glamour. Take your pick, it doesn't matter, it's the same melody. Oh, just take first place already! My boy, Mettaton Neo, doing so much justice. This song is so perfect. And even the battle moment is really awesome. I mean, sure, Mettaton or Sans could have sung here, but I still think it sounds really cool regardless, and it's just a bop of a part. And then you hear the sound of Mettaton being killed by Sans. The brutal sounds of the metal being destroyed as his body falls apart down into the lava of the Hotlands. His home is now his grave, and BF and Sans have their final moment. BF isn't even tired, and you can hear it in his high voice. And Sans' deep notes show the anger. He hasn't gotten the advantage yet. He hasn't won. Not yet. The instrumental's so empty and somber. BF and Sans are all that's left in a now empty underground. All hope is lost. It ends with Mettaton exploding. The final hero is gone. Now only monsters roam the land. Heatwave is a perfect song. It does everything it could do right. What a masterpiece. We've done it, everyone. We covered Friday Night Dustin. This has easily been one of my favorite mods I've ever gotten to cover. Even for its weak spots, it makes up for that tenfold. And I love it. And you know the crazy part? I don't even like the original Dusttale stuff. I don't like Undertale AUs to begin with. Like, almost any of them. I find them all to be, in one way or another, pretty bad. With very few exceptions. But this mod just is such a love letter. It's so passion-filled that I don't care, because it took something I did not have very much interest in at all, and it turned it into something absolutely beautiful. And that should show to just how talented this team was. They made a masterpiece of a mod. And I hope you guys enjoyed me ranting about how much I love some of these songs. Here's my tier list. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. God bless. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!